Alright, what is going on, guys? So today we got an exciting video and we're preparing to dyno tune the Whipple S550 tomorrow. We're going to be heading down to West Palm Beach. I believe is it just West Palm or West Palm Beach? Basically Palm Beach dyno. We're going to meet up with Rob Shoemaker, the tune maker.
We've got Mr. Can Be Honest and Rob, the tune maker shoemaker from Palm Beach Dyno. Boom!
Obviously we got the Whipple supercharger. There's a few things we have to do. We have been running the Whipple tune, which does things a little bit differently. It has its own kind of strategy. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but we are going to be needing to get an IAT2 reading, which is the air temperature coming off the downstream of the blower, and we also need to install a fuel pump booster. So luckily I had the VMP fuel pump booster left over from the Cobra. I also stopped by and grabbed the plug-and-play harness. So normally this booster has a plug-and-play, so this plugs in right there, and you don't have to splice things in. Since mine was cut off and has to be wired into 99 to 04 style, I don't have the connector still, but I'm just going to plug right there, and then this is going to go in between the fuel pump driver module. So I'm going to install that, and I'm going to hook this up so that's connected. And then I have this is called a 15 IAT kit. Basically what that's going to do, it's going to split off the mass airflow sensor. It's going to go in and then over to this sensor right here. And that's going to allow the tuner to be able to get an IAT2 reading, basically the temperature of the air going down the blower and into the engine. This helps regulate timing. If the car is getting hot, you can pull it out and richen up the car so you don't have detonation. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the wires here and get these connected together. Then we can go ahead and pop off the rear seat of the car and basically just plug and play after that. The only thing we got to do is find a nice ground with no paint on the car, and we might just have to sand an area down, and then that'll be a nice ground. Alright, so we made our connection. I called my good friend Joe, and he was able to just tell me basically which color wires go to which ones, and we just hooked those up, put some butt connectors on it. We'll tape it up, and this should be good to go to basically plug sandwich in between the stock fuel pump driver module, therefore giving us enough fuel pump in order to make around 700 wheel on pump gas. This will not be good for E85. Technically it could, but E85 requires 25% more fuel pump. So for anyone doing this at home, trying to remove the rear seat, you just need a flathead screwdriver. You feel around the middle here in order to be able to get the clip to pull the seat out. Once you do that on both sides, you can pull the seat out of your way and you can access the fuel pump driver module. Alright, so now that I'm in the back here, this is the fuel pump driver module. So this is what we're going to be hooking into. The factory plug is there. That's going to plug into this side on the plug and play harness, and it's fairly simple. Basically just plug in there. I'm going to use the factory ground, which is actually right there, and that's going to be real simple because there actually isn't much else to really ground it on. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Alright, so now we have it installed there in the back. I haven't put the back seat on, but if we key on, I hear the fuel pump, it's primed, and it should start and drive perfectly fine. It's loud, yep. Alright, so as you can see, the fuel pump booster is working properly. So now we can move on to the next step. Alright, so that is now installed. Obviously this just tees off the factory harness into there, tees into here, boosts the voltage, puts it back. Actually, I think other way around, something like that. And basically that's all installed. I put the ground right here on the factory ground, and one thing to note, you just have to shave off the side clips here and here in order to be able to get the harness, the plug and play harness on. But we are all good to go. I'm going to mount this permanently and put the back seat back together. Alright guys, so now that we have that all back tucked away, there's a piece of foam you can remove on this side panel, tuck the booster, stick it up against the panel, it's out of the way of the seat. Now we're going to move up to the front and we have the IAT kit. So once again, essentially this is rerouting your stock IAT function in the mass airflow sensor, moving it over to the downstream air temperature. So I'm going to open this up and take a look. Alright, so I got interrupted on the IAT kit. I had to go get a 19mm socket that fit over the sensor so I can get the sensor off, but we're going to get that hooked up. Alright, so as you can see, I'm going to add a few more zip ties here, but we have the IAT harness installed. So basically that splits off the mass airflow sensor, takes your IAT intake air temperature, reroutes it to over here. I now have the brass air temperature sensor there. Now in the car, which is actually a cool feature, you can see the intake air temp, the downstream as your intake air temp in the dash, as well as on a HP tuners or SCT, whatever you're using to read various different PIDs. The intake air temperature now takes over IAT2. So now we are ready for the dyno. I just got to get this thing strapped down on the trailer and we'll be good to go. Alright, so we got the IAT harness installed, the fuel pump booster installed. Fairly simple process. Pretty much we should be ready for the dyno. We have the 3.75 pulley on right now, so we're going to be doing a few different tests, kind of baselines, before we go to the custom tune. So we have the 3.75 pulley on it now. We're going to run it, see where it is with the long tubes before it made 630, see if it picked up anything at all in the Whipple tune. We'll swap to the 3.625 pulley, which is only about 1 psi more, about 11, 12 psi total. It might actually be somewhere around 10 depending on the long tubes, because long tubes can lower the psi because psi or boost is just a measure of restriction. So we'll throw that on there, and then we're going to do a custom Palm Beach dyno tune. Thanks to the guys over at Whipple, I pretty much got everything I need in here. The guys at Whipple sent me over, Mike and Dustin, they sent me over the 3.625 pulley, so shout out to them. We're basically ready to turn this up. I got my Whipple flare tool right here, and I'm going to bring the computer. We're going to be returning that to stock, and then we're going to be using the HP Tuners N gauge to tune the car. Alright, so that's pretty much going to wrap this up. I'm going to go, basically Ashley's coming here with a truck. We're going to go get the trailer, load the car on the trailer, and then we'll see you in the dyno in the next video. So make sure you slap the like button down below. I hope this video was informative, kind of a dyno prep for any of you guys who have Whipple cars, or you are curious and you plan to get something like this in the future. If you are converting over to a custom tune from the Whipple tune, you do need a few things. And obviously always talk to your tuner if it's not the same tuner that I'm using, which is Palm Beach Dyno. Every tuner is different. Make sure they're comfortable with the setup, the injectors, throttle body, etc. So slap the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.